are you doing this fine Friday morning, right? Wake up, get a cup of coffee, look at the news, well, the old computer screen is the modern day version of your granddad sitting in a chair with a newspaper, right? We've got some stuff going on here. Market Watch article, U.S. and Russia military warships nearly collide in the East China Sea. The U.S. and Russians accuse each other of unsafe actions, and the near event was caught on video. I don't really care about the video. What I want to know about is why these guys are in such close proximity. The U.S. and Russian militaries accuse each other of unsafe action, blah, blah, blah. And a Russian destroyer came within 165 feet, right, of the American naval vessels. The USS Chancellorsville and its crew apparently reversed its engines at full throttle to avoid a collision. It said a helicopter that was operating was preparing to land on it, and so it was doing its thing and traveling a steady course. No one was injured. There's no damage to the ship. But the Americans consider Russia's actions during this interaction as unsafe and unprofessional. Unprofessional. That's an interesting choice of words. And not in accordance with the international regulations for preventing collisions at sea, call regs, rules of the road, in other words, and internationally recognized maritime customs. Now that's where we get into some, what the hell are you doing? Now, I have a great deal of respect for the U.S. Navy. I also have a great deal of respect for anyone who operates vessels on the sea in a military or professional manner. It's not easy business. That's why they have an international regulations for preventing collisions at sea, the call regs, right? What I want to do is say, well, in the past few years, has or has not the United States Navy run into other vessels? I think one happened up in Japan or around Japan near Korea, and the other was, once again, I think down in the China Sea. The U.S. has not done very well. Once again, tons of respect for the people doing this work. So whether it's computer glitches or computer hacking, whether it's people asleep at the wheel in the wheelhouse, whether they're not obeying and following recognized maritime customs. In other words, those are traditions, right? Traditions. Now, what is causing these guys to be in such close proximity is a big question. I'm more interested in that. To me, that's a bigger deal. We know that there's been problems over in Ukraine and the Crimean Peninsula with the military of the United States and Russia kind of facing off. We know that this stuff is happening. The accusation that the Russians meddled in our elections, which is just preposterous in scale compared to the amount of lying and manipulation and use of American media. And good God, what happened as far as the lies and the Russian crap, it is beyond the pale. And to accuse Russia of actually meddling by doing some advertising is just fucking asinine. Anyways, everyone's pissy, in other words. But how does that extend into naval activity? This is a big cause for concern for shit hitting the fan, for going to a hot war. Right? We've got our warships operating in close proximity, and it's inherently dangerous. We've got the Middle East, where our carrier groups are at least one. You've got the South China Sea, you've got up in Japan, and you also have now off the coast of Venezuela. In times past, we've had the U.S. start a war, get dragged into war, get tricked into war. We've seen this happen, right? Gulf of Tonkin incident over Vietnam, Pearl Harbor, remember the Maine, sinking of the Lusitania. All of these naval accidents lead to war. And when war hits, governments usually go into debt, gear up for the war, fight the war, and then all of this great economic activity they claim is going on, right? Where are we at now, this time? Well, they went through the World War where first world or superpowers fight each other. That was World War I and World War II. They destroyed economies, destroyed cities, and then they said, well, let's take the world wars to the third world. So that would be your Vietnam, your Central and South American wars, your Middle East wars, your African wars that they don't give a whole lot of press to. South America, did I say that? Central and South America. We've had wars in third world countries to exploit them and kill each other on their property and blow their stuff up. If we go to war now, we're already mired in debt. Right? It's like quicksand. You can't get out of it. You can't move. They really can't afford another military war. Not in terms of blowing shit up, but in terms of funding it, in terms of coming out of it in any sort of economic condition that would make life normal, right? We can bomb ourselves back into the Stone Age, surely. But where do we go from there? So I want to point again and ask you the question, why are they risking that? Why are they threatening war? Why are they doing stupid things where they're just 50 meters from each other with these warships? You know, Russia and China and India and other countries, including the European Union, the EU, they're getting tired of the U.S. bullying. That is becoming a major issue. Now, here in the United States of America, we're like, well, we're America, we're good people, we're moral, we're decent, don't mess with us. We, the people, are, but what about our government and what it is that they do that we can't see and we don't hear about in other countries? And how do those other countries feel about it? How do they react to it? We're seeing it now. Once again, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Russia, China prepared to dump dollar, and they agreed to bilateral trade in their currencies. Now, I know it sounds funny, but the world uses United States Federal Reserve notes to trade with each other. It's not even their money. It's neither side's money, but they're using it and have for a long time. They're now saying enough. We don't want your dollar. We don't want to play by your rules that you mandate, that you bully on us. At the same time, the United States is saying, look, we're tired of you taking advantage of the prosperity, the technology, all the things we provide. So everyone's pulling back to the safe zone. That's nationalism. And there's a cost for nationalism and protectionism, and there's a cost for doing business with other countries that it costs everybody. There is a cost. One way, there's no free lunch. Just because you're trading with somebody doesn't mean that the world is glittering and that everyone's going to be prosperous. No, it's not that way. There's a cost for everything. We've got China and Russia saying we don't want your shit anymore. We also have now Kim Jong-il, or is it Kim Jong-un? I think it's Kim Jong-un, the son, the one that's left alive up in North Korea. Little communist punk is now enriching uranium again. He's starting to play some games, make some noise, launch some missiles. He's starting to rile himself up again. Now, we know he is a puppet of China, essentially. He's like the little redheaded stepchild of the North Orient. War drums get banged and beaten on when there's economic problems. And when there's economic problems, they start beating the war drums. This little action just this morning, Friday, between U.S. and Russia in the South China Sea is yet another clue why you need to have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and means of self-defense. This little screw-up over by China can very quickly turn into more provocations in the Middle East, and then right here close to home, it can definitely turn into more provocations, more close quarters naval activity down off of Venezuela. We're very close to a screw up. And a screw up takes a matter of minutes. Trust me, I've done enough of screwing up. It just takes a matter of minutes. And then you are there. Then you're in that room where someone ran one warship into another, or someone felt unsafe and launched or shoots down a helicopter. It's just a couple of bad mistakes and we go to that next level. And believe me, we don't want to have shit hits the fan. We just don't. But it's coming. So get ready. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Have a plan, because chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours.